Alright, YouTube, time for another garden update. Everything's fully weeded out, so it's looking pretty good here. I just watered it all, so the soil is nice and smushy as well. I sort of munched through all that soil with my hands yesterday. So you can see there's this one, this flower's already been eaten down a little bit, but more are opening. There's a lot of Nicotiana here, because, I mean, when the vegetables get attacked by rabbits or something, you can always leave some of the Nicotiana around. The only thing that goes after them is some sort of weird yellow little brownish looking grub. And they don't kill the plants or anything. It's like a wasp or something there. Although chamomile here, I had to weed around that too, so it's looking a little bit disheveled. I took all the beans out that had been dilapidated. But it doesn't matter. I mean, they were already there, so they already added a bunch of nitrogen to the soil, which was the only intent in growing them in the first place. I cleaned this out more or less. There's still a few Nicotiana around here and there, but it's mostly bare soil. The Dictamnus alba, still looking good. It's got like 5 branches on it at this point. Looks like a Mediterranean plant. It's got kind of the chubby leaves and everything. But you can see the hostas have continued to get munched on a little bit. But because it's a perennial, it doesn't even matter. And the cucumbers finally got attacked, but I think they'll be fine because they're starting to vine upwards. They'll escape the grasp of the rabbits, so to speak. And the tomatoes are doing fine. They're a little bit less bushy this year than I would expect, but I think it'll be like another week of good growth on them before they start to slow down a bit. And so they should be fine. You can see the squash are getting enormous there. That spaghetti squash down there is roughly doubled in size. There's a zucchini over there. I already picked a couple. There are so many more coming. The zucchini, it goes from 0 to 60 in the matter of maybe a week or so. It gets to the point where there are too many to eat them all, no matter how many people you've got eating them, it seems. And this corn is doing just fine. It's beginning to really grow quite a bit faster. It'll be just fine. It'll produce corn. The beans in there, of course, have been eaten down, but that's okay. And you'll be able to see, I can't remember if I showed the rabbit nest, or rabbit den rather, before, so I'll show it again here. I forget. Right here in the lilies, there is a rabbit hole. And they've got a little nest down there. It goes right down through, and there are several rabbits living in there. I don't mind. I don't care. Lots of chamomile. Still got to pick that. Picked a little bit more, but not enough. This is now chest high. Some of it's almost head height. You can see these corn plants. Still got to do a little bit of munching around and weeding in here. But remember, this soil was already basically perfect. It wasn't the most dense soil ever, but it was certainly nutrient dense because this is where the compost pile was for years, and I just sort of raked that compost around flat, sort of munched it in with a rake. And everything's fine, basically. You can see, even like these collards that get eaten down, they are still producing leaves. It might actually get a little bit of a picking of them, potentially. I'm not going to count on it, but it's possible. See all the pretty Swiss chard with all of its pretty multicolored stems. Some are like pink, yellow, red, all sorts of weird and purple, all these weird colors. And those zucchini in there, those have started to buff up. So those will produce zucchini. Not as many as the other plants, but they'll be just fine. You can see this sunflower getting ready to make actual flowers. This one I think is one of the shorter ones with many flowers on it that are sort of like half a foot across. And then these ones here are more of the big tall ones. This is as tall as me now. In 2 days it's grown like half a foot. This will probably be a 7-footer. Not as tall as they sometimes get, but considering it's growing in the shade, and considering that I think it got attacked by the rabbits early on, not bad. This one will probably be a 6-footer. So those will be some nice sunflowers. What I want to do is grow like one of those record sunflowers. You get the mammoth variety, you put it in its own little plot, just full of cow shit and stuff, and just fertilize the crap out of it. It gets like, 15 feet tall. I think I can pull it off, actually. Because if they can do it in Germany, which gets less sunlight than we do, which is laughable, and we can certainly do it here. There's a helicopter or some shit going over. This little sunflower, it got nibbled on very early. You can see the main stem got eaten, and so it put out 2 smaller ones. So that'll probably have like little dwarf sunflowers on it at some point. But I'm looking forward to the Nicotiana all blossoming. One of the white Nicotiana. And then, outside of the fence, The zinnias here are doing just fine. They're starting to come out. You can see zinnias, all sorts of zinnias. There are various varieties. Here's some California poppies. Those have bushied right up. The hollyhocks are blooming. Some of the flowers look a little bit better than the others. They got attacked by some bugs, it seems. But there are plenty of other hollyhocks coming up as well. This one I think is a little bit different than that one. I might be completely wrong. But there's a lot of other hollyhock plants actually coming up that'll bloom next year. It's a biennial, so those ones will bloom next year. And all the mustard and shit. Lots of catnip. I haven't seen as many bumblebees this year, but I've seen a lot more honeybees. It's actually very strange, because for a while there you didn't see many honeybees at all. It was almost all bumblebees, and now it's the opposite. I think they sort of alternate. I think it depends on the winter weather and stuff like that. But I weeded this out fairly well, so all these plants will do, you know, each one of these little stems here will have at least one flower on it. Some of them will terminate further. So there'll be quite a few zinnias actually. And see, that one I think is already getting ready to put up a flower, even though it's really little. Some of them only have one, most of them have more than that. But yeah, big plans for the garden this fall though, because I am going to shorten that fence up and redo this area. There'll actually be the garden overall, because I'll increase the density of the beds. It will actually be larger, but it'll look smaller. It'll be a lot easier to take care of. No more problems with stretching the hose. No more problems with rabbits. No more problems, you know, anything like that. Everything will be fine. I'm going to put in probably, I think, 2 beds in the middle here, and then splitting both of those up and increasing them to make 4, so there'll be 6 beds total there. This one will be more narrow and longer as well. So there will be more beds, there'll be more space for vegetables, and they'll be better defended. And ultimately, hopefully, that will keep them safe from rabbits and other vermin. I like rabbits, I just don't like them in the garden. That's about all. Peace out.